Hi, yesterday we went over benchmarks and how to use them to help us with measurement. So today we're going to review that. For our customary units of length, we had our finger for about an inch. We had our driver's license plate for about a foot. We had our baseball bat for about a yard and 20 minutes of walking for about a mile. For liquid volume, we had a cup and then our pint, which was our lunch milk jug. And then our quart was about the size of a juice jug. And then we had half a gallon and a gallon using our milk containers in your fridge at home. For weight, we had pencils for an ounce and a loaf of bread for about a pound and a good sized car for about a ton. These are going to be important because we're going to use them to kind of figure out what unit to measure with. For metric, we had the size of a pinch for a millimeter. We had across our finger and then from our pinky to our thumb. We had the doorway of our front room for about a meter and then 10 minutes of walking for a kilometer. This was all length, and for the next one, our volume, we had liter, which was about the container of a water bottle, and milliliter. Then we had mass, which is how much something weighs in metric, and we had $1 for a gram and a baseball bat for about a kilogram. So now let's think of those and answer some questions. Our first question is the length of a school bus. Well, first we got to figure out what it wants us to use, length, volume, or weight. This one, it says right here, length. So we're going to take a look at the length and we are going to decide if it is an inch, a foot, a yard, or a mile for those customary units. Well, if we're using about an inch, which is our knuckle, our first knuckle on our finger, it's going to take us a long time to measure that school bus. And the opposite, if we were to use a mile, well, we'll be walking 20 minutes, we're going to pass that school bus. So that leaves us with foot or yard. Both would work, but foot is going to take us a whole lot longer. So we're going to use the measurement of yard to measure this. Now, if we think about the metric units, we are not going to use our fingers or our hands. That's way too small. And we're not going to walk for 10 minutes. We would pass it again. So that only leaves us with meter. We're going to use a meter to measure this. Those are the two lengths that you can use. One is customary, which we use more in the United States, and the other is metric. I want you to try this next one on your own. Weight of a computer. All right, let's see how you did. The weight of a computer. Well, it tells us right here we're looking at weight. So we need to use ounce, pound, ton for customary, and then for metric, we would use gram or kilogram. So let's think about it. Am I going to use a pencil to weigh a computer? No, that's way too small. Just like a gram, a dollar bill, to measure against a computer, that's way small too. So we're going to move one up. Pound. We could use pound. But let's check to make sure that there's not a better one. We use pound. The next one up would be ton. Well, that's a small or decent sized car, so that's too big. So we're going to stick with pound. And the next one up for metric unit was our kilogram, which was about the size, the weight of a baseball bat. We could use a couple of those to measure it. Try this next one on your own. What is the amount of liquid a bottle of detergent holds? What would you use? All right, let's see how you did. For the amount of liquid, well, that tells me right there because it says liquid, we're going to be using volume. So we can be using cup, pint, quart, half gallon, and a gallon for our customary units of measurement, or we would be using liter and milliliter. Well, if we're using a cup, it would work, but it's going to take us a long time. Same with pints. Those are smaller units. Now, depending on the size of your detergent, if you have a really big bottle of detergent, you're going to want to use a gallon. And if you have a smaller one, you're going to want to use half a gallon. In my house, we do a lot of laundry, so we need a bigger unit. So we're going to use that gallon. For metric, we would have milliliter or liter. Well, milliliter could work, but you would probably spend all day measuring it. So we're going to go to the bigger unit and use a liter. I want you to try this next one. The distance between two cities. All right, let's see how you did. The distance, right here, this word, tells me that I am going to be using length because distance is how long something is. And because it's between two cities, well, I know I'm going to need a really big unit. If I were to use inches, it would take me weeks to measure it. So instead of using smaller units, I'm going to use that bigger unit, and I'm just going to go straight to the biggest one there is because it's between two cities. And I'm going to say miles for our customary, and a kilometer for our metric. That shows me that I'm using those bigger numbers between two cities because that's a large distance. I hope this helped you understand what a benchmark is, comparing them to measurements. And I now want you to go through the house if you've not already done it and see if you can't figure out some length, some volume, and some weight. Thank you.